Hey, 4003S. What's up? How's it going? Dev Duck. Mr. Duck. What's up? We're back today building Rich Barber's PC. Yesterday we ran into a little bit of a snag while we were building. Same build from yesterday, yes sir. We are continuing the build. We got the problem sorted out. The problem was with the bracket on the back of this motherboard. We could not get these nuts to screw because they would just spin freely. And it was a little bit of a design flaw on ASUS side, but we were able to get it straightened out. So we got this mounted finally, properly, and now we are going to proceed with the build. And we need to have this done today for Mr. Rich. So, same build as yesterday. Nothing's changed there. We're just going to go ahead and continue. Anybody who's joining us today and did not catch yesterday's video, this is a an Intel diesel. It's an Intel 12th generation processor. It's the 12700KF underneath here. We're also building with 32 gigabytes of Trident Z Royal by G-Skill, and this is 4000 megahertz. 2 sticks of 16 gigabytes. We're building in an ROG Strix Z690A, which is a gaming, I think it's Gaming Plus or Gaming something. Just gaming Wi-Fi D4. The D4 stands for DDR4. That's DDR4 memory. And a 2 terabyte M.2 Gen 4 SSD. So, lots of cool stuff going on. Epic PC build, yes sir. Just need to get it done today so that Mr. Rich can pick up his Epic gaming PC. I guess I'm going to run these cables down this way. Really no good way to run these things. These are the cables coming off of the AIO pump, which is going to control the LCD screen. And I'm going to run them to the back, and then we're going to have to probably... One of these connections goes to their little hub thing, and then the other goes to the motherboard USB. I don't want to go in there. And they give you a lot of cable, which is nice, because in most cases you don't have enough cable. So it's kind of a plus. I don't want to interfere with the RAM here. There's really no good way to get this down there. I mean, I could run it down and down here, but I don't know. That kind of seems dumb too. We'll probably put some zip ties here just to keep it in place like that around the RAM, so it's not interfering with that empty slot. So if he ever goes to add more RAM, I don't want that to be a problem or get in the way. We'll just throw some zip ties on this real quick. And then trim them up. Then we get to move on to the rest of the fans here in the case. Or you know what, we should probably do the cables first on the motherboard before we put the fans in, so the fans don't get in our way. One more zip tie because we're fancy. There we go. And we can trim that up. USB 3.0 is going to go up here too from the front of the case. So that will help hold this cable in place when we zip tie that together. Nice clean cable run there. Alright, let's deal with these cables real quick and then we'll get to the rest of the fans. Gotta pop this back panel off. And they're all nicely tucked in here. Lee and Lee. Neat. How's everybody's day going so far? Saturday going well? Good long weekend. Get to mow grass later on today. How about that? What I do on my spare time nowadays. All the adulting stuff. Alright, so this connection is our USB 3.0, which is going to go up here and plug into that port that we were kind of pointing out a few minutes ago. These out a little bit because one of them, I believe, goes to the USB header. Well, I'm not sure about that. Let me double check. Where'd that box go? Crap. Here it is. So this box comes with that cooler, the AIO, which has your hub provided by ASUS. Has a power connection, the USB-C connection, or USB connection here. And then a hub for all the fans and whatnot. We're really not going to use this for the fans, I don't think. I think we're just going to plug those directly into the motherboard header. We're still going to use the ASUS software to manage the RGB and the screen, but we really just need this for the screen, honestly, because of the style of fans that we are using instead of the well, I guess we could plug in here, honestly. We could. That would work. Where's my... Yeah, we could plug into this. It's fine. It would save wires from going to the front. But we do need to get this one routed down here. I think that's where the USB front panel is. Good. And we have HD audio, which needs to be ran. This is going to be actually underneath the power supply. I like to try to push as much cable as I can that's not needed into that little spot where the power supply sits, so it's underneath the power supply and out of the way. All the extra cable. This guy is going to also plug in here by the USB 2.0. And then we need a case connection. Where's our case power button for our case? Where art thou? Here it is. Also, it's going to run right here. Cool. Flip this bad boy over. We have our USB-C connection. I don't know if you can see that or not. It just goes right here into the USB-C port. Nice and neat. And then we have our USB 3.0 connection, which just swings over and plugs into this header right here. Simple. Then we're going to try to get these cables such a way that they kind of support each other, like that. And then we have our front panel connection, which is our power button and any front panel LEDs reset. That just goes into JFP1 is usually what it's labeled on the motherboard. Then we have the USB connection for our screen, which is going to go into the USB 2.0 header. Usually it's labeled like USB 1 through whatever, how many headers you have. Either one of them would work. And then we have our HD audio, which gets plugged into it's usually HD audio or FP audio or JF odd or something labeled like that, similar to that. That's it. She can't focus. Next up we have our PWM fans, which we want connected to our CPU header here, because these are going to be plugged into this for cooled or cooling the CPU, so we need them plugged into the PWM fan header. And that is a splitter slash connection for all 6 of these fans. And then the addressable RGB, actually, we could plug into that hub on the back, although I would like to actually just plug them directly into the motherboard header. I would prefer that. Let me see which one we have to deal with here. So it is a little bit of a tight connection. I probably should have done this before we put the cooler on, but that's why I have surgical pliers. Getting some weird tight places. There we go. And another trick that I like to do is pop this top corner screw out, maybe. Well, the stud actually just came out. I unscrewed the screw and the stud came out. Need needle nose pliers. This build just does not want to be built today or yesterday. Refusing to be built. Where are needle nose? Got like 18 sets. So I'm actually going to screw this back in. And I'll hold it as I unscrew the screw. I can get that out. Because for some reason that one just stuck. No big deal. We got it. We're going to tuck the cable actually underneath the board, which is why we're taking that screw out. Probably won't be able to do it as nice here. Little pigtail on it. Probably try to, I don't know, put these in here. Deal with them when we get on the back side, I guess. There we go. I almost want to just undo that other screw and see if we can get that cable tucked in underneath that screw to hold it in there so it's not just floating there, because that kind of defeats the purpose of removing the other screw and tucking the cable underneath. Just a matter of getting our fingers in there. I don't know if we're going to be able to do this with the cooler on. That's something I should have done with the cooler off. I mean, it's not really going to move. I'll accept it. All right. Another thing we should have dealt with is the power cables to the CPU headers. These are going to be a pain now that I'm thinking about it more. But it's okay, we'll figure that out too. All right. The next thing we have to do is get the connections for these fans plugged in, which could be in a white box right here somewhere. Maybe not. No, I already opened it. And that will cover the remaining 6 fans that we have to install, which will be plugged in towards the bottom here. Hey Hulk, thanks for the like, sir. I appreciate you. Jeff Van Diwali, I appreciate your like as well. And the Exotic KJ, I appreciate that follow over on Twitter. Thank you guys. Appreciate all of you. We're just trying to get this system built here for Rich, the barber. We just have to get this ready to go today for him. We're a little bit behind schedule, but that's okay. We'll get this done. Ugh. There we go. We got all our cables plugged in here before we're going to mount these fans. These fans on the bottom we'll start with. And it actually has a thumb screw to pull out the tray, which will make it nice and easy. We're just going to pull that thumb screw and the tray will slide out. And there we go. We have our tray, which we'll just leave sitting here as we get the fans out of the box. And line those up. These are going to be intake. The bottom fans are going to be drawing air from underneath the computer, pulling it into the case. So these will be intake. Hot air rises. You always want your lower fans on the case, generally intake, especially on this case. These are, again, modular, so if you haven't seen these before, I'll pick them up here and put them here. You'll have a wire coming off of one, which then just simply plugs into the next one. And that is how you plug the fans in. modular, one after another. Super awesome, designed by Deepcool, and it makes it so it's still customizable, where you can move the fans around in different locations, because they give you extension cables to work with as well. And then the last one on the end will be the connection that goes to your motherboard, your addressable RGB 3-pin 5-volt / PWM connection, which also feeds off of a SATA connection for SATA power. And that SATA power will make it so that you don't overload your 5-volt RGB, or you don't put too many fans all at on one connection. But it makes it easy. Okay, so here we go. Got them all lined up. They're positioned for intake. Now we just have to add 12 screws. No big deal. I'm thinking about this here for a second, and I'm doing this wrong. Oh my gosh. I'm an idiot. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't have enough coffee yet today. There's never enough coffee on a Saturday. But we are putting the fans in correctly, but we do have to make sure we can still mount this. So technically, these need to be flipped around. Like so. To ensure that we can mount it after we put the fans on there. So it goes. All good.
I'll be right back.
What do you need to do, Adrian? Do. Technically, I don't even need to put the screw here, but it's for looks. And there it is. I was like, where's my last screw? I left it in on the other side. All right, so there. Now, when we go to put these in, it'll actually go in. Let me position it so y'all can see it. But they just literally, you take the cable, the one that goes back to the back, shove it in your little slot hole thing, wherever the cable needs to be ran. And the whole tray will just simply slide and lock into place. And then all you have is that thumb screw to hold this whole tray in. If you ever have to take these out to clean them, it's going to be super easy. They all come out in one piece. Super nice. And I absolutely love this about these fans. In this case, how they're modular like that. The next piece that we have to do here is this back side. The fans will be mounted from this side. This is a tray as well that can come out. Although I don't think I'm going to even bother with pulling this tray out. This one you can do. The way I'm going to do it. And actually, this reminds me, so the way we're doing it, we are taking all 6 of these fans and making them connect to the same PWM connections. So we do need one of these to run to this set of fans. That way it will run back, or they'll all be connected on the same chain. I'm going to run this cable here, where we needed it anyway. This one will run up here. It's going to be part of the RGB out case. There's an RGB strip on the case. And this connection here is the fans, the bottom fans. I'm just adding this extension cable to it, that we can run it to the fans here on the front. It needs to go all the way to the top fan here.
I only have a week to finish my.
All right, and then we'll get these fans plugged in here. We have one here, one here, one here. And I'm doing it backwards. Whoopsie daisy. Again, not enough coffee, ladies and gentlemen. No, I have not had enough coffee. There's never enough coffee. I think we're just gonna have to go straight to injecting caffeine right into the vein. Okay. There we go. Got this one flipped around correctly, and I gotta get this plugged in. And then we can plug the other bottom fans into this chain. Then they feed off of it. That way, all 6 of these fans will be synced on the same chain. Nice and simple. There we go. Now, I'm going to start with the bottom fan here because I would rather see the height on the bottom here than the top, because the top is going to be partially covered by that AIO. So it's more important to have the bottom positioned correctly for your aesthetics. I don't think we're going to be placing it there. I just got to find my screws. Apparently I've misplaced my screws. There they are. There's one anyway. Oh, there they are. 2, 3. Hey, Emily Joan, how's it going? Sorry, I have my head down. I'm not really looking at the chat much right now. Actually, a little bit on a time crunch today. Trying to get this finished up for Rich the Barber, who is, I'm planning to have this ready for him for pickup today. The local customer. And I promised him this would be done today, and we ran into an issue last night with mounting the block to the CPU, and it was because of a design flaw by Asus with their mounting kit for the AIO. So we got that sorted out, and now we're moving forward with this build, and I'm looking to try to get this thing finished up so that he can get this picked up today. Start gaming on it tonight. Can he do it? Yes, he can. I've actually built a lot quicker. So I know we can do it. We could get this done. I think the biggest problem, or the most time consuming piece said is going to be happening today would probably be the Windows installation with any downloads we're doing, honestly. And then the battle tested phase, I do like to run a few benchmarks on it just to make sure it's performing and cooling where it should be after we tune everything. Also to ensure we're not hitting any blue screens after we set the XMP profile, because the last thing I want is Rich to pick up his gaming PC, take it back, plug it in, start gaming, and run into a blue screen or something. That would be just absolutely terrible. So we don't want to do that. I'll give it a good test, make sure she's getting hot under a full load, and then we'll ensure that this thing is running and performing where it should be without any issues. I also spin up the fans all the way, make sure there's no rattles or bad bearings. Sometimes you'll get a fan with a bad bearing. I've had a few of those actually in the past. And over time they just start squeaking, or they give you a rattle, just an annoyance. When we could solve that, right when we build it, I'd rather do that now than 5 months down the road. So our builds are absolutely perfect when they leave. That we don't lie about. Come here. Is that massive Asus hub? Okay. We got all our fans plugged in. Starting to look like a computer, I think. Trying to minimize the cable look on this. Go. That looks good. At least as good as it's going to get right now. We'll be probably cleaning this up a little bit afterwards as well. But I'd say that is definitely beginning to look like a computer. Kind of looking badass the way it's just standing out. Alright. So the next thing we really should do is our AIO sleeving kit. This is by Cable Mod. This is if you have black tubing and would like white tubing or different colors. They have other colors to select from. You can even do one white, one black, etc. There's a lot of cool things you can do with this stuff. But all it does is just strap on. I'm sure I could find a cheaper material and not buy it from Cable Mod for the price they sell it for. But this is easy. And it's cut literally to the perfect length, quick. And I'd rather pay a couple extra dollars for a company that makes a good product outside of their tubing covers. There we go. And that just gives it white. Blend with our color theme that we are trying to aim for here. There we go. That one's all set as well. Nice and easy. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Alright. So next up we can probably... I did want to add a rear fan here as intake again. And there's a couple of options that we can plug it into. I'm going to try to get it plugged in up there. I'm also, before I put this fan in here and cause even more problems, try to get these CPU connections down here. Power CPU cables plugged in. Before it gets any worse. It's already going to be a pain to get in there. So, we should probably get that done. Taken care of. Sorted out, solved. Whatever you want to call it. We should have a total of 2 this kit. We do. Good 2. Because this is a Z690 and it has 2 8-pin connections for overclocking features. So we do want to get both of them plugged in. We just need to get our cable combs out because we're going to comb these up. Probably just one set is all we need for the top. And the clip's going towards the top of the case, which is normally the direction it goes, but I've seen different boards doing different things. So I always check. The way I'm going to sneak this in is come from the back side and kind of snake it in. Maybe. There we go. And I'll just come wrap around here. And because this is the first one, actually, you know what? We're going to use 2 on this. We're going to come up around and then down, I think. Maybe? No, we're not. Scratch that. Forget it. I thought it would look cool, but I see that it's just going to get in the way of the fan. So, through that. Piston. Not what I wanted to do. Nice. Get up. Get it. There. Got it in there. Not bad. And then same thing with this one. Just gonna snake it in from the back side. And get it plugged in here with some extra slack. Listen for both the clips because they're technically two different connections. Then we'll drag it back through. So, that's nice and clean. And there we have it. Both 8-pin connections are there. We can actually take care of the motherboard right now as well. May as well. We're here. 24-pin, that is. Probably going to put 3 of these cable combs on, but that's, again, 3 24-pin cables. So it just takes me a minute to get these combs on there. But the combs are well worth it. Definitely, when I say comb, if you haven't seen them before, it's these. You just go on here and literally just comb the wires or the cables. These, this cable comb, cable extension kit is by Asia Horse. You can get them usually on Amazon for like 30 bucks for this set that has the dual CPU connection, dual 8-pin CPU connections, as well as the triple PCIe, which is what you want for a higher end build. Because your video card's probably going to have 3 8-pin connections, and your motherboard's probably going to have 2 8-pin connections for your CPU. And this way, this kit covers all of those connections without having to buy a second set or buy an individual cable. It's just the all-in-one kit for the higher end build. So just make sure you look at that when you're buying a kit, that you are buying a kit that meets the right amount of connections. Don't assume that they all have them, because they don't. For example, they might come with just 2 PCIe connections, cables, extension cables, 8-pin, and then maybe 2 6-pin, and 1 8-pin CPU, and 1 24. That is because those were probably the most common builds. Okay. We're getting there. Cable combs. Time consuming. Need to train one of the kids to do it. Alright, so we'll slide this in to the slot back here. I might have to reach back there and kind of navigate its way through the tangled mess of wires on the backside currently. There we go. And then we can get the sink plugged in. Nice and neat. And then we'll just make sure the cables stay tucked nicely. And we can move on to the graphics card. And we'll tuck those. We're probably going to go to this slot right here. I know my glove ripped. Nice. But we're probably going to go to that slot there. But before we do that, I need to find my screwdriver and undo these 2 blanks. There we go. And remember the button mechanism that we were talking about yesterday for the PCIe clip. This is the RTX 3080 Ti by Asus ROG Strix. We have some plastic peel to peel. Of course, with any ROG Strix, you have that. Give me a moment here as I peel these. I'm just struggling with trying to locate them all. Kind of difficult to get them with gloves, I'll be honest with you. Not easy. When they stick to your glove, and you get in a situation where you're holding a card with one hand and the other one's just kind of like derping over here. And then you have another situation where you just can't even get the peel to start. I don't know why Asus doesn't make these peels easier, which they would, because that one just ripped as I started it. Nice. Love it. Trying to do it without like scratching it. But they don't have any tabs or anything. It's actually obnoxious. One thing I've always hated about Asus is the fact that they don't have tabs on any of their peels, except for like the motherboards have tabs. I guess the graphics cards anyway, but motherboards have tabs. I don't know why they don't just add them to the graphics cards too. That's kind of stupid. Then I'm going to sit here for a half hour peeling crap off the graphics card. But I guess that means I'm talking about it, so they have airtime. So stupid. Remove film before using. Could you make it more difficult to remove a film? This is that big one right here. There's no tab, just a big film. Holy crap, we actually... God damn it. Yep, and then it just ripped. Nice. So now we have a big chunk of extra that ripped. Still on there. Okay, we finally got the back side done. And then we'll peel this. And doesn't look like we have any here. But we do have some on the bottom side. Last thing I would want is one of these to come undone and then get sucked up in one of the fans, and I mean they come off easy after time, especially with heat. And this card's probably going to get hot. The Battle of the Asus Peels. Stress. You know, this doesn't have to be stressful. Asus could just add like a little peel tab to it and it solves this whole problem. But I'm not Asus, I could just imagine somebody in their boardroom coming up with the idea to build these peel tabs so that they're impossible to take off, and how evil it is. Hey Rich, how's it going? Looking great. Yes sir, it is. Starting to look like a computer now, isn't it? We just got the graphics card installed, and now we're gonna get the cables there, flip it over, deal with some of the cable management on the back side, get the power supply installed, then we'll fire her up for the first time. Then we get to see if I built it right or not. See if it posts. Yes sir, indeed. So, we've got 3 different PCIe 8-pin connections, which we're going to get our cable extensions plugged in here, and then we're going to get the combs on them. These ones we could do the combs after we plug them in, and I'd rather do that because it card kind of holds them as I'm doing them. Sorry if my head's getting in the way. Can't see myself. I'm getting old. Not really, but what I like to tell people apparently. There we go. Get all 3 of them plugged in. Let's take care of the cable combs, and then we can move on to the back side. Actually, we want to get that fan plugged in too, as well. So that wasn't really planned for the build, so I might have to use a different color fan, but I think it's going to look good with the graphics card in here now, which is kind of why I wanted to wait on that. Show you. There we go. And then for this, I'm going to use a 24 pin, or try to, just to hold the connection, maybe? I don't know, I don't think we can. It's going to be too tight. Forget it. We'll just keep doing the 4-pin combs. Might need the flexibility anyway. Uh-oh. There we go, nice and pretty. I have daughters, so I can say words like pretty. I can also do ballerina and have tea parties because I have daughters. It makes it okay, right? Wearing makeup only if your daughter is applying it. although I would recommend maybe trying to avoid that, especially if your friends or brothers or sisters are nearby with their phones. They don't capture a picture of it and make it public. Those memories are best saved for your head. Those are for you to keep, not to share. Okay, now that we have our cable combs properly added to the cables, we're going to adjust their heights slightly and really mess things up by sending them down here into their slot to be plugged into the power supply. When I say we're going to mess everything up, it's because cables like to dance around, which is why we have cable combs. There we go. Nice and clean. Ta-da! Looks nice, doesn't it? Or just water cooled. Let me read your question. Dev, Mr. Duck, do you think NZXT Kraken Z73 RGB 52.44 CFM liquid CP cooler would be enough to cool a AMD Threadripper 3990X 2.9 GHz 64 core processor? Is that a 360 millimeter AIO, or is that smaller? I don't remember what the Z73 is. In fact, I think it may, the Z73, I think is, the 3 stands for 360, so if it's 360 millimeters, well, take a look at the TDP, the wattage that cooler can handle, and then take a look at the stock max wattage that the AMD Threadripper will produce, and that will answer your question. That's how you determine if a cooler is powerful enough to cool a processor. These coolers will have a TDP rating, which is usually a wattage number. Like this one, I think is like 240 watt, and the processor is probably only going to produce maybe up to 170 watts. So this is definitely going to cover the 170 watts. That's how you determine if a cooler is going to cool the processor. That's the best way to do it. I could look it up for you and take a look here after the stream if you want to shoot me a message. When you say, or just water cool the PC, I would say you don't have to water cool it. I mean, it's your preference at that point. Just make sure the cooler has the TDP coverage for your processor. Wish I could find an example. Maybe I can on this box that I still have down here. Let's see. See if it has any of that information here right on the box for this one, for example. Got a 6-year warranty, but it doesn't actually tell me the TDP. So, unfortunately, this one doesn't have it listed, but most of them do on the website if you go look them up. Let's see, size. Tells me air pressure. Tells me the tube length. but it doesn't tell me the TDP, which is kind of dumb, honestly. Tells me the noise level, the airflow, the air pressure, but no TDP, which is probably the most important metric. It tells you if the cooler's gonna cool it or not. But I mean, I guess when you're buying a $300 AIO, it should work. I don't know. But I'd look up the TDP on the processor, and then, which is the max wattage the processor can handle, and then just make sure your cooler will cool or is rated for that TDP. That's how you would determine that. So the last thing I wanted to do was get the fan installed here, which originally we did not have it in the build out as part of the plan for the build out anyway, but it's okay. We are going to add another fan. And I've decided, for the sake of it being white and it really looking good, that I'd like to stick with a white fan and also the same fan. So I have another kit here I'm going to steal a fan from. I also have to order another one. Oh well. Where would we need to plug him in? He would need to plug into him, and then he would feed off of that. And I don't like that. So we'd have to run him all the way down here, this fan, if we wanted to continue the chain. Or or we could put it on a separate connection. Daisy chain. That is what we'll have to do to make this work. We're going to put it on a separate connection rather than running it all the way through the other end of the case. It's kind of retarded. And I think I'm going to keep it reversed so that the airflow is intake on the rear. Call me crazy, but that ensures fresh air going to the cooler. Come on. So I put our extension cable on it, on the fan, and I got it stuck. I pulled it in here. There we go. So now what this is going to do is just pull cooler air in and get sucked right up into the radiator. Same thing with these fans here. And these fans down here on the bottom are going to push the air up into the graphics card, fresh, cool air. And then these fans up here are going to draw the air back up here and just create like a funnel right across the top of the memory almost of all the air going out. But the cooler is going to get cool air from the fans up here. It'll be a nice mixture, and it's really going to create a nice funnel. Let's get this screwed in. Oop, without it falling. Stay. Beautiful. So why I don't want to make this a fan that's exhausting is so if airflow is going here, I want the airflow to go up and through this radiator. If I turn this around and make it exhaust, it's going to be sucking air out, and it's going to give this less air. So we really don't want to suffocate that. We want the airflow to go in there. Just a tidbit or logic behind what I'm doing. This thing again. I'm fighting with it all night. Okay. So we should have an addressable RGB connection up here, which is what I want to bounce off of, so to speak. Gonna give us the connection we need for that top fan, rear fan. Is right here. Then the rest of it, we'll untangle the rest of those. These are our CPU fans that we're plugging in right now. We'll get them over with. The rest of it is going to go towards this direction, along with this thing. Number one for the SATA connection. Number two, we have a PWM connection that we have to plug in here. And I think I'm going to go towards the bottom of the board again on this. Could go towards the top. Let me look. I'll go bottom. Gonna take some small fingers and my surgical pliers to make this happen. We already have the graphics card installed. Hold on. Surgical pliers. Build a lot of gaming computers. They're very, very, very useful. Okay, now that that's plugged in, we have our RGB ready to go. One of the last pieces that we do need to deal with here still is the case RGB, which we are going to locate, which is this guy here, and we're going to plug that guy into the tail end down here. We're sharing the RGB connections evenly. And also it allows us to kind of hide this connection a little bit underneath the power supply. I am, however, going to put a little bit of, if I find it, tape. Tape on it because I do want make sure that this connection doesn't come undone, because it is underneath the power supply. Really? like triple sealed. Okay, finally. Finally got my tape. But this will hold that connection in, because they tend to pop out randomly, especially when you're doing cable management. Stuff around. Like to take click. So just from experience. I'm going to move this thing out of my way so that it's not in the way. There. Needs to find its way here. Data connection. Data connection. SATA connection. I have noticed this build has quite a few SATA connections, but that's okay. And out of the way. Let this guy go over the top of this cable. Pairing with that. There we go. Kind of have a flow going here, which is nice. Nice, because we have a pretty large power supply to go in here. Come on. Keep having to fight with cables. Go. Can't really get much better than that. Rip that off my glove because it's getting obnoxious. Now we have our 1000 watt EVJ Supernova 80 plus gold power supply. We're going to get this thing opened up and installed. There she is. She's a beast. She's heavy. She's quality. That's what a quality power supply should feel like. We're gonna mount it so that the fan's facing up, because that will be going towards the ventilation. So we need to make sure it is vented. PCIe. Couple of these. Both of our CPU connections, 2 8-pins. And then I believe we have 3 individual PCIe connections with this power supply, if I remember correctly. Meaning they don't have the pigtails, which is definitely what we want to use because we don't want the extra crap pigtail cable. Not that it's crap cable, it's just pigtail is annoying. Just for reference, this power supply has 4, which is super cool. 4 of those PCI cables, plus 2 with pigtails. Pretty awesome. Alright, get this power supply flipped around here. Put in. Now we just need screws to screw her in. Almost done. Looks like I'm giving people a middle finger. I just realized that. Sorry. Blood ripped. Nothing I can do about it. Do 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 do. And then we need to get this hard drive bay back in here because we're going to have to utilize some of its space. I think I want the ventilation like that. The reason why is because we have this big old beefy thing that we need to figure out, which requires a SATA connection, power cable. He ran to it, so get that out of the way. RGB in. I think we just run it through the software, pretty sure. And then I'm going to stuff this guy, maybe. The hard drive cage. Really no other good place to put this in. Unless we put it at the top of the computer. But I'd rather have it accessible, which we can get easily from the hard drive bay in the future. And who uses hard drives anyway? Hello? Whoever's calling, I'll give you a call back here in a few minutes if you're also watching the live stream. Currently trying to finish this. Sorry. Probably just calling to see what my extended warranty looks like. Probably why they're calling. We just want to talk to you about your extended car warranty. Your vehicle's extended warranty. Did you know? Sir, my car is like 8 years old. Doesn't deserve a warranty. Faithful as she is. Okay, there we go. There we go. Now we can work on getting the CPU connections, which are these two, up towards the CPU. Which is right here. These are 8-pin connections to the CPU header on the motherboard. Alright, and then I'm going to deal with these PCIe connections before they get buried. Get these connected. And last one. Okay, and then our 24-pin PCIe connection, or 24-pin motherboard connection, sorry, needs to get connected. I usually run this like so. Then we'll kind of just meet the two connections here and just get it laid flat. Kind of holds everything else in place anyway. And then our SATA connections for our deep pull CF120s. Which can just go lay down right here. Put those in last so we don't like smash their connections. All the extra or other cables in there. And there we have it. She's pretty much done. We just got to fire her up, make sure she works, install Windows, do all the drivers. I mean, there's quite a bit of work left here, but we'll know here in just a moment. Let's if it posts. It'll post. It's built by me. Wallace 602, very nice. Thank you for stopping in and checking out the stream. Hulk PR, I appreciate you stopping in. So we're just wrapping up here, so we're getting close to finishing up, firing it up and seeing if I actually built it right. And then Rich will get to know if he's going to be able to pick it up today or not. Right? Sorry about my gloves. I already ruined them. All those cables, just tore them apart. Okay. Let's get this massively heavy system flipped around here. Our cables turned out okay after all that tugging and pulling on the backside. And then we'll plug her in and fire her up. We're gonna have to play around with these PCIe connections here. That's okay. We'll play around with them, but for the most part, they're there. Okay, with that, this needs to be pushed back in. There we go. Much better. So, who wants me to fire this bad boy up? Because we're pretty much ready to go. Plug her in. Gotta move all this crap out of the way. Oh, power supply already provided power to the AIO. That's a good sign, right? Plus, so what's really cool about this cooler is that you could throw pretty much any GIF on there you want. If there's any special images or videos you want to play on it, I think limited to a certain size or a certain resolution, but pretty cool. All right, let's get rid of some of this light. You guys ready to see this thing boot? Y'all ready for this? Holy smokes, I'm getting radiation or a tan from here. Like, look, this color's just radiating off me. And we got a post. Go into the BIOS for the first time because the motherboard detected a brand new CPU was installed. It wants me to go push buttons in the BIOS. Oh, baby. Looks nice. Let's see it. Yep, it's all here. Hey, why don't you go get Rich the Barber on here and have him take a look at his finished build. But it's not finished. I gotta finish the software side. I lied a little bit. Okay. And the Trident Z Royal RAM right here. It looks so much better on not on camera. Having a difficult time capturing the light, but I mean it's so smooth. Got a weird flicker on that one. Probably just a loose cable, because I know where that one got plugged in and got squished. I'll investigate that. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Rich the Barber's build. Next up, Windows installation. Then shortly after that, we'll be doing updates, BIOS update, drivers, all that good stuff. And then we're going to send it through the battle tested phase. The battle tested phase is going to ensure that it's performing where it should be after we make all our tweaks and configurations. It'll cover the cooling and the performance as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and get Windows started here, actually, because why not? And we'll figure out that fan issue. That looks dope. Yes, sir. Now just imagine if it was green and black, a little bit of purple. Coming up here, right? Alright guys, I'm all set. Rich, I'll be contacting you soon today, letting you know when everything's ready to go. But like I said, it'll be probably a little later this evening now. But we should have it ready to go in a little bit. Have a good night. Thanks for stopping in, everybody, and checking us out and hanging out while we built this PC for Rich the Barber. And catch us on the next one. We've got another stream coming up next week, scheduled sometime in the middle of the week there. What color is that? Well, it is actually a white themed build, but the addressable RGB is currently set on whatever mode the motherboard is running it at. So just running the motherboard. So it's all white. It's all white minus the graphics card, and the AIO is actually black because neither of those could be found in white. The 360 AIO is actually black, but we used Deep Cool FC120 fans that are white, both on the top and the bottom in a push-pull configuration, as well as a cable mod AIO sleeve, which is white to hide the black cables here. So that gives the white look in the majority of it. It also has this black line through the top, which kind of matches the look of the graphics card in a way. So it just kind of gives it a nice blend. Because I couldn't find this graphics card in white, and I couldn't find, obviously, this AIO in white. That is the Asus Rygen 2 360 millimeter. The fans that it actually comes with are Noctua industrial, I think, fans that have some pretty crazy RPMs. Yeah, they are Noctua industrial. But we didn't use those fans. We used the Deepcool FC 120s, and then we sandwiched it. Push pull. Super beautiful build. Yes, sir. Just got a little bit of a flicker on this fan here, so I got to figure that out. I'm pretty sure it's just a loose connection on the back after we sandwiched all the cables into the back. So, if not, I have more of these fans. I'll just replace it. Man, this build is sick. Yes, sir. It's a beauty. I agree. So just a little bit of tidying up, figure this out, get the software stuff done, go through the battle tested phase, and we're ready to go. Anyway, I'm going to get to it. Thank you everyone for stopping in and hanging out while we built today. Again, next stream is probably going to be midweek, Wednesday, Thursday. Is our next build stream. So Wednesday, Thursday, probably evening. So tune in, like, share the stream, let everybody know. If anybody's looking for a PC and they want a custom built and they want it built right, go ahead and send them over here. Thanks, Steven, for the like. I appreciate you, sir. But definitely send anybody you know that needs a build. because we build them right. And we do it live. Make sure you see it. Proof behind the pudding. For my build? No. The next build is actually going to one of Judge Drudge's viewers who used a so it's actually one of Judge Drudge's viewers. So it was kind of cool. So that's another build in a Leon Lee dynamic case. So another exciting build. Yes, sir. All right, guys. Have a good rest of your day, and have a good weekend, extended weekend, hopefully for you guys, everybody. And hey, Dev, you live in Canada. Nice. Yeah, so shipping across the border is always a pain in the butt because of the tariffs. We don't cover, yeah. So we don't cover the tariffs. You would have to cover the tax going across the border, and because of UPS's policy, which is what we ship with, and the insurance policy, we have to declare the value of the package in order to cover it for insurance. So most of our shipping, if we are shipping across the border, it will be your responsibility to cover the taxes. That is the unfortunate situation for shipping anywhere out of country. It sucks because it shouldn't cost that much to import something like that, especially like a luxury good like that. Is kind of dumb. But if you need help building one, or if you need any assistance with picking out parts or anything like that, I'd be more than happy to help you out. So if you ever need any assistance, I can definitely help you, even if I'm not there. I can walk you through it, give you some recommendations, even walk you through the build one-on-one through a camera if you need me to. I've actually done that before. A kid purchased a part from me on Facebook Marketplace. This was a long time ago, and then he struggled with getting it built, and then he ended up finding out that what he had wasn't going to do what he needed, so I had him send all of his parts back, give him a new build list to go purchase. They purchased all the parts, and then I walked him through the entire build one-on-one over a call. It was kind of crazy, but he was super happy, super stoked. His parents were super cool about it as well, and they thought it was just awesome that we did that. So I didn't charge him anything either. Might need some help picking out the parts. Yeah, man. Just shoot me an email, or you could text me on the phone number that's listed on the website, or you can shoot me an IM on Twitch or Twitter or Facebook. A million ways you can get a hold of me, and I respond to all of them. And then we can build out your parts list. So we can make that happen, sir. Anyway, I'm going to get this rolling, and then I got to mow the lawn before it rains again over here in Michigan. Because my neighbors are probably going to start wondering if I'm ever going to mow my lawn. And if I don't get it mowed, it's going to start looking like the hillbilly's house. So, I actually had a service mowing the lawn last year, and then they just stopped showing up, which kind of shows you my luck. Then I had to go buy a mower. Trying to build a PC that will run all of my streams. Well, something like this that we built today will definitely do that. What you want to do is go heavy on the CPU, heavy on the RAM, and probably a fast and large M.2 SSD. And then the graphics card, go with NVIDIA, and I'd go with probably a 3070 and up. And that will run your streams and game on the same PC without having to have a dual PC set up. And it'll have some impact on the performance when you're streaming, but it's not going to be like devastating. It's probably going to be like 20 FPS when you're streaming with the NVEC decoder. And that also will be determined based off of how your stream's set up, what tool you're streaming with, what resolution you're gaming at and streaming at. Something like this, I would say 1080p. You should play in 1080p and stream at 1080p. Maybe game at 1440p and stream at 1080p. But it all comes down to little details, and we could tweak it. I can help you remotely, remote in and help tweak your computer after we get it built. AMD Threadripper, honestly, is overkill. It's overkill. You could easily do a Ryzen 9 5900X or Intel i9 12th gen. Save some money there, and don't even. I mean, once you go Threadripper, you're paying more for the motherboard, you're paying more for the cooler, and you're paying more for the CPU. It's just, I think it's a ridiculous amount of money that you're overspending on for CPU power that you won't even be using for a stream. The i9 and the Ryzen 9, 12th generation i9 and the 5900X is more than enough to handle a stream and game on the same PC. Anybody that tells you differently, they don't know what they're doing. But I mean, yeah, there's what the Ryzen 9 is, 16 cores or something like that. That's just a crazy amount of horsepower when he's able to do everything that you're talking about on the i7 12700K, and that's only 8 cores technically, with those E cores or whatever they call them now. So I'd just save yourself some money. Put the money towards a bigger graphics card. Not go with the Threadripper. Go with the Ryzen 9 5900X or 5950 or something like that, and then get a bigger graphics card. That's what I would do. Like 3080 Ti, the 3090 would be overkill. The 3080 Ti would be like the max I would build with. Everything else is just overspending. 3090 Ti, which you could go with, and it will give you some more performance boost, especially if you're trying to play in like 4K. Excuse me. You're doing dual PC? You were going to do dual PC? Yeah, I mean, you could probably do it all in one PC if you wanted to. Dual PC is nice because it doesn't have any impact on your FPS when you're streaming. Whereas if you're doing it on a single PC, you will notice like 20 FPS drop or so when you're streaming. It also depends on what game you're playing, what resolution, again, you're playing at, etc. So, dual PC is nice, and it is a very expensive solution to solve that problem for 20 FPS. So you just have to weigh the difference of 20 FPS. Is it worth, the extra $1,000+ for a streaming PC separate, and then the extra $1,000 worth of equipment to make it all work? Like you got to get a capture card, and then you got to make sure everything's plugged in right, and then usually people will get like an audio mixer to make sure that the two are being captured correctly. There's a ton of extra money that you're going to be spending on plugging two PCs in together. So, and it also makes it more complicated when you have problems. So if you have problems with audio, then you have two PCs you have to troubleshoot. So you just got to think of those things as you're building it. But if that's what you're trying to solve, if you're trying to solve you're trying to get the maximum FPS you're gaming with and not impact your FPS while you're streaming, that is really the only solution, is to go with two PCs. Which I could help you set up too, if you need it. So, anyway, thanks everybody for stopping in. We're actually at the tail end of the stream here. PC's built. I'm going to get the Windows installed, get all the drivers updated, all the software that we need installed for ASUS, the Army Crate, etc. the BIOS updated, and go through some of the configuration, tweak it, get the fan curves good to go, and then go through a battle tested phase, which we're going to test the performance and the cooling, etc. And we're going to do all this off camera. We want to get this ready for Rich, the barber, for pickup later this evening. Is kind of what we want. We want this ready today for him to pick up. He's local, so he's going to come pick it up. I just don't know if he's going to be available later this evening. But overall, great build, great stream. Part 2, anyway, from yesterday with the AO mounting debacle that we had. Outside of that, it went good. So, and I got to figure out this weird flicker on that fan. Thanks everybody for stopping in. Make sure you like the stream, share it. If you know anybody that is looking for a PC built right, you know where to send them. And you can always reach us on Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube. You can go on our website, submit from the contact page, email. You can text me from the phone number listed on our website. You can search us, look us up on Google. We're listed on Google as well. There's a million different ways you can get a hold of us. Have a good night or afternoon. Hopefully a good long weekend as well. Take care, guys. Thanks for stopping in. Check. Check. Test. Hey, Mark. You actually just caught us at the tail end of the stream here. We were just wrapping things up. How's it going, man? We just finished building that beast right there. Our next stream is scheduled for Wednesday or Thursday this week. in the evening. Probably going to be a Wednesday stream, but we might have to end up doing it on Thursday. So you could definitely follow us and set those notifications so you know when we're going live next. If you need anything, you're more than welcome to reach out. You can contact us on our Facebook page, our Twitter, our Twitch. Look us up on Google. Our website has our phone number listed as well. You can call or text us. And we also have a contact page on our website. About a million different ways you can reach out if you have any questions. This PC is actually built for Rich the Barber. Yeah, what's up, man? What's your question? What's my favorite build? So my favorite build is probably one that I've done in the past for church. It was a pretty much all white build. If you go on our YouTube channel, you can definitely find the build for church. It was a white build. Turned out really clean. It was actually in the same case that we used for this build. What processor is better, Mark? The processor I would recommend right now is probably AMD still. Although, if you're planning a build right now, I would wait to see what AMD comes out with in their next series. Their, I believe, 6000 series are coming out with. 6000 or 7000 series, sorry. It's going to be on a new motherboard, the AM5 socket, so it's going to be a different socket, which means you'll have to buy a new motherboard. So if you buy one now, in the next few months, a new processor, a new motherboard will be released. In the system that you build now, it won't be compatible with that newer line of processors. So I've been trying to tell people about that as well. Hey, Mr. Duck. What's up? What's your question? That's a good capture card. What? There you go. What's a good capture card? A lot of people like the Elgato series. The Elgato's capture card has been solid. Their software is good. For the most part, it's almost just plug and play. I'd recommend probably Elgato. There's a couple other brands out there as well, but the Elgato is probably the top brand. Backseat Gamer, my personal is the Intel right now. Yep, Intel's still good. I mean, they're pretty much neck and neck with the 12th generation. But AMD's new series or new line coming out is going to wipe Intel off their feet, basically. The performance is going to be way better than Intel's 12th gen. Backseat Gamer, bet if you were to make Hello Kitty themed PC, he would be excellent sellers for female gamers. So actually I did do a kind of Hello Kitty themed build. It was a pink build again. If you go on our YouTube channel, you probably find the video there of the live stream that we did that. We actually did that in a live stream as well. So you can check that out from our YouTube channel. Mark saying that GPU going for Asus ROG Strix NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3050 OC Edition game graphics card PCIe DisplayPort Super Alloy GPU2. What's your question with that, Mark? Is that the card you're looking at? It'll be for your first time building a PC. So, Jace 2 Cents actually did a pretty good video on this, talking about the graphics cards, buying a lower end graphics card, like for example the ROG Strix NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3050 OC Edition. You're paying a premium for that cooler, which that card doesn't even need. So I would honestly save a few dollars or take the extra money you're spending on the ROG Strix NVIDIA RTX 3050 and maybe look at a RTX 3060 or even 3060 Ti, and maybe get a base model, of course, for the same price or close to the same price. That way you're basically doubling, tripling your performance off the card. It may not look as pretty, but it's going to perform way better. That would be my recommendation on the video card for you is take that extra cost you're spending on the ROG Strix 3050 and put it towards maybe like a EVGA Black 3060 or maybe even like a, I don't know, like an MSI Venus 3060 or 3060 Ti. That's what I would recommend doing, especially if you're trying to get the most bang for your buck out of your PC. I think the music might be too loud while I'm talking here, sorry. But that's what I would do for the video card. Put that extra cost or extra spending you're putting towards that ROG Strix card and put it towards like a base model RTX 3060 or 3060 Ti. Mr. Duck, I'm buying a 2080 Ti for one of your builds. Okay, so the 2080 Ti, just make sure you're not overspending on it. 2080 Ti is basically the same performance as a 3070/3070 Ti. So if you could get the 2080 Ti for less than a 3070, then yes, that makes sense. But if you can't, you may as well go with the 3070 Ti or 3070. I actually had a 2080 Ti and I upgraded to a 3070 Ti in my personal rig that I game with, and it's more than enough performance for 1080p/1440p/ even some 4K gaming, and it performs actually a little better than the 2080 Ti. And for streaming, Mr. Duck, I would recommend going 3070 or 3070 Ti over that 2080 Ti. There is MSI GeForce RTX 3060 Ti. It is at the same price mark as your ROG Strix 3050. If so, I would highly recommend going with that RTX 3060 Ti over that 3050. If they're close in the same price or within the same price range. It's a white 2080 Ti. Yeah, I mean, there's different ways you can go about getting the white. Like, for example, on this build that I just built here, we could have taken the fan shroud off, taped it up where we don't want the paint, and then we could have painted it white, and then we could have also got a backplate from E1 Tech and made it all white and put his logo on there and everything. So I mean, we could have done more to this to make it more white. So don't buy a 2080 Ti just because it's white. Costs 549 pounds versus the RTX 3050, or is that the RTX 3050 cost? Do you know if that's the RTX 3050 cost, Mark? Or is that the 3060 Ti? I have a feeling that's the 3060 Ti, or should be. If not, you guys are getting screwed over there with your prices. I'm kind of doing like a ballpark translation from pound to US dollar. I guess what's the difference between the 3050 and the 3060 Ti that you just listed there in price? Hmm. 3060 Ti is 549 pounds versus the 3050 is like 430. So yeah, for like $100, you can triple your performance, or 100 pounds, slightly over. So if you can push for that 3060 Ti, you'll be way happier with the performance over that 3050. The 3050 isn't bad for like an entry level, but it's only going to deliver 1080p performance. I mean, great card nonetheless. But if you're going to do a 3050, the reason why you would do a 3050 is to buy the cheapest one, basically, is what I'm saying. Don't buy the Asus ROG Strix 3050. It's just overspending on a cooler you won't need. So if you're going to do a 3050 because of the price, obviously you would want to go like a MSI Venus or maybe Asus's lower end 3050 if you're trying to save money. The 3050 will give you a really good experience out of the box, but the 3060 Ti for $100 more will give you almost triple the performance. MSI 3050 have 3 fans, but 3060 Ti has 2 fans. Yeah, I mean, even with the 3060 Ti with the 2 fans, it's still gonna outperform. It'll still cool just fine. Just have to make sure that your airflow inside your case is good. But I mean, that would be my recommendation, is to either buy the cheaper 3050 if you're trying to build it on a budget, or save an extra 100 and instead of buying the fancier 3050, buy a lower end, not really lower end, but just a 3060, a cheaper 3060 Ti. I have to go buy 5 cases. Nice. So, when you get to the point where you're submitting orders for 10 cases at a time, and then they get delivered, your FedEx and UPS guy starts asking questions, and then you start getting calls from UPS reps and FedEx reps asking if I have to switch to like freight or something. It's fun. I treat our delivery guys well, though. I make sure they have water and Coke every time they deliver. I even buy Diet Coke for a specific driver who shows up. So he has Diet Coke because he prefers diet. It's cool stuff like that. We take care of our drivers. They take care of us. But I've been there. I've also walked into Micro Center to buy because I had I had a family that wanted like 4 computers for her sons, all done before Christmas. This was like a massive Christmas present for her boys, and so this lady had me building these computers like 2 or 3 days before Christmas. I had no choice but to go to Micro Center to get these parts because I couldn't get them in quick enough if I ordered them online. And I actually took down Microsoft's computers. I froze up their computers and they had to reboot everything. And the receipt was longer than I don't know. You could walk it from the register all the way to the door and still have length to go out to the car in the parking lot. So that's another cool story that happened to us. We crashed Micro Center. That was like 4 PCs, and I grabbed some extra parts for some other projects that I was working on since I was driving down there anyway. But that is the benefit of having a Micro Center down the street. Alright guys, I'm gonna hop off here. Okay, Mark's got another question, it looks like, maybe. I'm gonna go for the case is AVP. I think that's Corsair, mid-tower case with 3 RGB fans from Amazon. Is that a Corsair case? Does he QUASAR? I would assume that's Corsair. The Corsair case is good. Just make sure the front has a mesh front. Make sure it's not a solid front panel. You have the Leon Lee 011 Dynamic, 4 and 1 Corsair. Okay, you have 4 of those, and 1 Corsair Crystal 28X. Nice. Those are all great cases. I've always liked the Corsair Crystal. It's just the cost compared to like the 011 Dynamic is just too high. You can buy the 011 Dynamic for 150 bucks. Shipped. Shipping included. After tax too. Going for the AMD Ryzen 5 5600X processor. That's a beautiful choice, sir. You also have the option of going Ryzen 5 if you're trying to save a few bucks. The Ryzen 5 5600 non-X, but I would recommend the X for any of the Ryzen 5s right now. That's probably the best performing out of that series. Got 6 cores, 12 threads, 4.6 gigahertz. Just make sure you buy a decent enough cooler to cool that thing. The stock cooler probably isn't enough, especially if you're gaming. I'd recommend at least like a 4 heat pipe tower air cooler for that thing. You can get them on Amazon for like 30 to 40 US dollars. Probably gonna be like more like 50 to 60 pounds for you. But it's well worth that investment. And then also, depending on which cooler you buy, most of them include thermal paste. It might be worth looking at like Thermal Grizzly as your thermal paste rather than using the stock thermal paste included with that cooler. You can get an extra, 5 to 10 Celsius cooler temps just by going with a premium thermal paste. And then it'll last longer, so it won't harden over time as quickly, meaning it'll last like years or a year or two without having to change out the thermal paste. But it sounds like a solid rig that you're already building. So, I mean, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out on our any of our contacts while you're building it. But I'm gonna jump off the stream here and get this system done. So, you guys have a good rest of your day. I appreciate everybody stopping in, hanging out, chatting a little bit here after the stream, and yeah, make sure you tune in, follow us if you'd like to check out our next stream, which is going to be next week on Wednesday evening, and this is Eastern time that we're working with over here. So Wednesday evening Eastern time is when we're planning our next stream. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks, Mark. I appreciate the follow. I appreciate that follow, Mark. So yeah, just definitely appreciate all of you hanging out. Alright, you guys have a good extended weekend, hopefully, for our holiday over here in the US. And then let me know if you have any questions. Shoot us a message.